What's up everybody? In this video, I'm going to be giving you guys all of my settings. Controller settings, gameplay settings, audio settings, video settings, you name it. So let's get to it. So over in the gameplay settings, incoming damage feedback is 3D. Basically, there's this marker on your screen that lets you know when you're taking damage. I like having it 3-dimensional. Some people might want to put this on 2D, but I prefer having it on 3D. Crosshair damage feedback is turned off. Basically helps reduce some of the visual clutter around your crosshairs when you're shooting at an enemy player. Damage numbers is stacking. This is the best option. It gives you a really nice, easy to read number when you're damaging an enemy player. For the reticle, I'm using this color right here. It's a nice yellow goldish color. If you guys want to use the same color, I have the numbers right here. This is also the place to go if you want to customize it to any sort of color that you want. Over on the laser sight, I'm using the same yellow goldish color, and you guys can also customize the color right here as well. Enemy health bar, you obviously want this turned on. It lets you know how much health the enemy players have. Enemy highlight, you definitely want this turned on. Weapon auto cycle on empty, I like having this turned off. I like being in control of when I want to swap my weapon. Taking damage closes death box or crafting menu, you absolutely want this turned off. This is a really important setting. If you need to craft in a replicator, for example, you need to craft your teammates' banners or get a med kit. If you're in the storm, for example, taking ring damage, if you take a single tick of damage, it's going to close you out of that replicator. Same thing when it comes to shield swaps. If you're trying to do a shield swap in the middle of a fight, you're going to need this turned off, because if you're looting a death box and you take any amount of damage, it's going to force you out of the box if you have it turned on, and that's why I have this turned off. Chain healing, this is a brand new feature that was introduced this season. I have this on single. Even if it's on single or auto, you can still select how many cells you ultimately want to use. So right now I think single is a great option. Over on the movement settings, you definitely want always sprint turned on. This is going to help with maintaining speed and momentum. Auto run is turned off. Jetpack glide control, I like having this on toggle. Some players have it on hold. This is going to be mostly preference based, but for me, I like having it on toggle. Mantle boost activation, I like having this on jump. Basically, when you're climbing an object and you're going to super glide, I like pressing the jump button to activate it. Mantle boost UI basically gives you the full information to do the super glide. I like having this on full. Now over to the HUD settings, interactive prompt style, I like having this on default. Basically, when you're looking at floor loot, it's going to give you a box with information of what that item is. I like having it on default. It's a bigger box with more information, but some players might want to have this on compact. Tutorial systems, I have this turned off, but in hints I have turned on. Health and ammo pop-ups is turned on. Hop-up pop-up is turned off. Obituaries is turned on. Basically, it's going to show you a list of all the players that die in the lobby. Minimap rotation is off. Arsenal's map plus HUD icons, I like having this on maximum. That way, when I pull up the map, I can see where every single arsenal on the map is located. Ping opacity is default. Off-screen portraits, this is going to be preference-based. A lot of players have this turned on. I personally have it turned off. Performance display is turned on. Basically, it shows you your frames. It shows you if there's any issues with the servers. Accessibility, all of these settings right here are preference-based. You guys can choose what you're comfortable with. These settings are not super important. Now heading on over to the controller settings, I have a default button layout. I used to use a PlayStation 5 controller and I still love PlayStation controllers, but right now I am using a GameSir G7 Pro controller, and basically I'm using the default button layout. But if I want to crouch or jump, I have those on my back buttons. My left back button is crouch, my right back button is jump, which allows me to crouch and jump without letting go of my aim stick. Now there's a lot of players that like using different options right here. This is going to be more preference based, but for me, I use the default button layout. Stick layout is default. Interact reload button is tap to use and reload. Crouch button is on toggle. Some players like having this on hold, but for me, I really like toggle. Aim button is on hold. Survival slot button is on. Adaptive triggers is off. Trigger dead zones is none. Menu cursor speed, you guys definitely want to turn this up a little bit. It's going to let you loot more faster, get shield swaps more faster, but you want to use the speed that you're comfortable with so that you don't end up missing items when you're looting. Now over to the settings that most of you guys came here for. I use 4:3 linear with no look dead zone. I used to use small dead zone, but now that I have this GameSir G7 controller, I've been playing on no look dead zone. If you're using no look dead zone, you might get some stick drift, which is actually a good thing in Apex, because that stick drift is basically creating an active input, and in order for aim assist to be most efficient, you need an active input. Movement dead zone is small, inverted look is off. If you have this turned on, you must be a psycho. Vibration is turned off. You definitely want vibration turned off. You do not want to be shooting at a player and having your controller vibrate. It's just going to throw your aim off. Over on the per optic settings, I have this all on default. Some people might want to put this on. They like to make adjustments, you know, to certain optics like sniper optics, but for me, I have this all on default. Over on the advanced look controls ALCs, I do not use these. These are turned off. This is what I have though. Everything is basically turned to the left completely. I do not use these settings. Now over in the video settings, display mode is full screen, aspect ratio is 16:9, resolution is 1440p, brightness I have on 55%, Field of view is on 104. FOV ability scaling disabled. Sprint view shake is minimal. Both of these settings right here are pretty important. I highly recommend that this is disabled. Basically, when you use certain abilities, having it disabled just maintains a consistent FOV. Sprint view shake is minimal because when you're sprinting, you don't want a lot of shaking on your screen. UI layout mode is auto. So over in the graphics settings, VSync is disabled, NVIDIA Reflex is enabled. This is on 0. Anti-aliasing is off. Texture streaming budget is on high. And besides that, everything else is completely turned on to the lowest settings or is disabled, basically to maximize the frames. So these are my audio settings right here. Master volume is at 100%. Now we're going to head on over right here to the advanced audio options. Sound effects volume is 100%. Dialogue volume, I like having that turned down a little bit. Music volume, I actually have on 20%. Now the reason why it's on 0% is only for this video. I wanted to make sure that you guys could hear me in the microphone and not hear the background music. Gameplay volume when spectating, basically when you die and you're spectating another player, I like having this turned down a lot so that way I can talk to my teammates. I don't need to have the volume at full level when I'm spectating somebody. All these other settings right here are going to be preference based. I have these all turned on all. Emote preview sound is on, sounded background is off. That's it for the settings video. I hope this video can help you guys out. Please hit that like button, please subscribe, and I will see you all on the next video.